Hey everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, February 9th, 2025. Okay, Y&R, you got me. Now we are talking. I have spent the last couple of weeks really having no comments on the Damian saga. There was just nothing to say, but now this week I'm in. Success. An identity twist, that just really hit the spot. I didn't even know it, but that must have been exactly what I needed. A twist was exactly what I needed. I'm in. So, Holden, the guy formerly known as Damian, was just pretending to be Damian on Damian's behalf, and the real Damian was revealed this week. Ooh. The new Damian had asked Holden to go and just suss out the whole situation and then report back to him, and just a great twisty moment. But I mean, the whole identity, pretend identity thing was working. Everything was working, but it only works if you're dealing with people who don't know you. It all completely falls apart when Nate pulls a fast one and forces the so-called Damian into a reunion with his dying mother. Only when Amy floats down the stairs, she's looking at this stranger like, who's this guy? And where is my son? And what have you done with my son? Well, there was no way to talk your way out of that one. So Holden had to admit that he is working for Damian. And then Amy proceeded to basically beg him to set up a real meeting with the real Damian, with her real son. It's a matter of life and death, she said. She really turned on the guilt with that one. It was sort of implied, playing on the heartstrings there. And he was like, okay. So he goes back to Damian and tells him that he got ambushed. Damian was not happy, but Holden says, look, dude, your mother looks sick, and I think you should consider going to see her. She loves you, man. The look on Damian's face when his employee said to him, your mother loves you. It was great. I mean, this new guy, it's all there. It's all working. The whole thing is really working. And it worked on Damian because at the tail end of Friday's show, the real Damian called Nate and agreed to meet him. And in the previews, it looks like they're telling him everything, including the fact that Nate is his bro. So I'm really impressed with this twist. I really needed it, because I have to admit, I always did feel kind of let down by the fact that Damian was supposed to be an older brother of Nate's. But the actor is perfectly great, perfectly fine, but he was so young. He was much younger, and it just didn't fit with what my expectation had been set as. This Damian looks definitely old enough to be Nathan Sr.'s son. I mean, in the world of soap reality where numbers can be fudged by a decade, I feel like that would fit. That would make sense. And also I feel like there's something just more edgy about real Damian, something more raw about him. Like Damian the first Damian he was adorable. He had kind of a baby face, but second Damian has an intensity about him, and I connected with that right away. I think he is going to give us a lot of drama, and I think he's going to bring Audra a lot of heat. once she starts working for his billionaire mystery company and then hooks up with him. Yay. What a time to be Audra. I mean, who is this Audra? Who is she? I'm not complaining by any means, but I am just wondering if there's a body snatcher in Genoa City or something, because Audra is suddenly so caring and so sensitive, and she's a great listener, and she's always right there to hand you a vanilla latte and take you shoe shopping. I don't know when this happened. Maybe it was that one dinner with the Winters family. It turned her to mush. Or maybe it's the unemployed lifestyle. I'm sure everyone would be a lot friendlier and sensitive if they didn't have their jobs. Oh. But that being said, I really do like the relationship that Audra and Amy are forming. And I have to say, you guys, Valerie Pettiford is pretty damn amazing. Her monologue about the cat, Damian and the cat sneaking it in to the house and trying not to let stepdad know. Stepdad who didn't know he was stepdad. But I mean, like, honestly, I was kind of lukewarm on Amy until that very moment. But with the cat story, she got me. She got me. Can Nate please make some progress on her miracle cure so that we can, like, glam her up and give her a reason to live? I don't know why she keeps turning him down on the help. She seems like she's maybe softening on that. Like, okay, all right, maybe I will let you help me live. That whole relationship with Audra. I think the Amy and Audra relationship has softened me on both of them. But it's definitely had the effect of softening Audra's character. She's become very different. And I think that Audra's relationship with Amy will come in handy when she realizes that she's in love with both Nate and Damian. Which hot guy will I choose? It's the soap opera way. And congratulations, Audra, you have arrived. How nice that Billy has a wildly rich older brother who's willing to write him a blank check and give him a blank slate to start a brand new company, no real questions asked. And doing it with Jack's ex-wife, too. Even after Billy disowned him, broke his heart, acted like a spoiled brat. I'm sorry, I'm a little bitter at Billy still. I like the direction that he's headed in, but I just need one more week to complain. I promise I'll pick it back up next week, but I just still feel on Billy. It's going to take a little more time for me to turn it around. I mean, it's all just, he acted like such a jerk, and now it's all just working out for him. He's got Abbott Communications now, and I'm sure that he will start out with the best intentions, but we all know that it will only be a matter of time until he uses that media company to start going after Newman Media, and specifically Adam. I sort of think that the portraits of Delia all over the house in some ways predict that. Plus we had Chloe coming back into the mix this week and reminding us of her history with Billy, and I don't know. I'm still miffed at Billy for his behavior over the last couple of months. So I was kind of with Daniel all week long. I was feeling skeptical in the same way that Daniel was. Just like, okay, can he pull it off? Can he really pull it off? He's always good at talking a big game, but can he actually deliver? I'm sure I will get over my grumpiness because Billy has clearly got Jack and Phyllis and Sally boostering for him. And I'm kind of wondering, is there any chance that we're going to be able to see Billy and Sally on a green screen date in Paris for Valentine's Week 2025? Chloe was definitely hyping up the romance, reminding us that Billy has dated half of Genoa City, including her, and that he can be very charming and very romantic. There's no way that Y&R can tell us that they're going to Paris and then not at least give us a little bistro or something, right? I'm assuming Paris is going to be seen next week. But honestly, I did really just enjoy Billy and Sally's Chinese lunch date. I thought it was very cozy. It's just so nice to have a new home and to just see the characters relaxing in a warm home on a cold winter afternoon. Did you see the frosted windows in the background? I thought that was absolutely gorgeous, and it just made me feel cozy. But that was a ridiculous amount of Chinese food containers. I couldn't take my eyes off of the spread that was in front of them. He must have bought one of everything. There was like a dozen containers sitting there. It was crazy. But I have to admit, and you already know this, I do have kind of a mental block on Billy and Sally. You know this. You've heard me say this, and I'm struggling to get past it because there was just no real romance with them hooking up in the first place. They were just poof together, and while they are a couple who make logical sense, like he's single, she's single, they're not related. I mean, on paper it should work, but they just don't have that spark for me, and I don't know if they ever will. And so the fact that Phyllis is now seeming like a third wheel in their relationship is actually both underwhelming and also a ray of hope for me, because I am not really interested in seeing a Sally, Billy, Phyllis love triangle. But if Phyllis can pull Billy out of this relationship with Sally and into a relationship with her, and they can actually maybe build something that's built on love or lust or whatever, well, then I'll be happy, because it'll feel maybe like we had some more buildup, and maybe there'll be something more that I feel excited to talk about. This must be John Abbott week on Y&R. That's nice. That's very, very nice. John Abbott week. Yeah, Claire was treated to a home-cooked Mrs. Martinez family meal in the Abbott dining room, and when Claire sat down at the table, she was also treated to a few of Jack's favorite stories about his father. And I'm really glad that he chose light and happy stories about when Jack was a naughty teen, a mischievous teen, stealing Dad's car. And John, in response, was so patient. And that rings so true. He was very patient, always, and wise. Oh, I thought that was a really nice trip down memory lane. I think Y&R at this point knows that they are dealing in nostalgia, so that's why they're giving it to us. But I also think that they are buttering us up hard with the John stuff, because they're about to fiddle with a classic set, and they really want us to be okay with it, and they really want us to like it. But I don't know. We have been burned before on these refreshes. Y&R, you did a really great job with the ranch. I'm loving Billy's new house. I'm just nervous that we might need to quit while we're ahead. I don't know. I bet you that they're thinking, oh, okay, well, we're going to be competing with a brand new soap on CBS in a couple of months. The Beyond the Gates is airing toward the end of February. I think the 27th, I want to say, something like that, 26th, 27th. So I wonder if Y&R is thinking, oh, well, since there's a new soap on the network, maybe there will be some re-interest in Y&R, the greatest soap on the network. So maybe we got to try to make our sets a little more appealing for the new viewers. And to a new viewer, granted, I'm sure that the Abbott Mansion could come off as looking a little dusty and old. There might be a couple layers of dust on those crystal chandeliers. But I mean, I don't know. To me, it's perfect just as it is. I feel like I'm with Jack in that way. There's really, I mean, to me, looking at it, there's nothing about it that needs to be revised. But it could just be that I'm so used to it. I don't know. But I almost wish Jack was the one that was initiating it, or Tracy, or Ashley. I love Diane, and I love the idea that she is working on the Jabot Classic line. I like that she's going to do something to refresh the Jabot stuff. But I don't know. I'm nervous to go meddling around with what I think is a pretty perfect set on the show. Besides, I am suspicious that this whole redecorating of the Abbott Mansion idea is just Y&R's way of getting rid of Dina's death chair. Are they just so sick of me making jokes about Dina's death chair that they're going to redecorate the whole room just to make me stop? Well, I don't think so. The joke is on them. Go ahead and get rid of the death chair. We've got 2 new death couches now. One at Victoria's, one at the ranch. I will not be deterred. What do you think, you guys? Does the Abbott Mansion need a refresh? That's our poll question for the week at yrchat.com. I want to know if you think this is necessary. I mean, regardless, it's definitely a done deal if Tracy's on board. I mean, she picked up on it pretty quickly. She was there. She was right along for it. But I mean, I don't know. I kind of liked the idea that Jack accused Diane of just doing this because she wanted to keep up with the Newmans. Maybe that is what it's really all about. So Jack stopped by the ranch this week to see if everyone was okay after being held hostage, you know. And boy, Victor was really cranky. He did not want Jack Abbott walking through his front door so soon after gunshot wound surgery. Victor goes, "You're not here to check on everyone. You're here to check on Nikki." And it was so jealous. It was just such a jealous moment. I like it. But it was just jealous. And then Victor went on this rant about Claire and Kyle and told Jack that he better keep his son away from his precious grandbaby Claire. And Jack just rolled his eyes and walked out the door. I loved the look on his face, too. He was just like, whatever. I stopped even caring about your threats years ago. Whatever. And he just turned around and left. But so the stage is set for Victor and Jack to be in opposition over the couple. That's, I guess, going to be, you know, their new challenge. It sounds like Claire and Kyle's new challenge is going to be Victor's opposition. Diane tried warning Kyle that Victor's not going to like him having a serious relationship with Claire, but Kyle did not want to hear it. And Claire thinks she's going to change Victor's mind, which is also sort of hilarious. Asking Nikki for advice on how to change Victor. Well, Victoria did go to bat for Claire against her dad. Victoria did say, "Come on, Dad. Claire is an adult. If she can plan to poison someone, surely she can plan a date with Kyle." Man, oh man, it seems like his brush with death has really shaken Victor up. It's such a change, such a stark change, because normally when Victor gets shot, he just dusts himself off and keeps going. But now he is so introspective, you know, he's thinking about what could have happened and what will eventually happen. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like thinking about reality when I'm trying to escape into my fantasy, because the reality is, yeah, I mean, we all die. And Eric Braeden is 83 years old, and of course Victor would be thinking about the time that he has left, and the time that he almost didn't have left. So it all makes sense. It was just such a bummer. I found myself wishing, like, oh, I think we need something new for Victor. Maybe some sort of new challenge or project or inspiration. Not like trying to keep Claire and Kyle apart. It's so done. It's so overdone. We need something fresh. Who's to say that at 83 years old, Victor Newman couldn't start a new business or have a new hobby? Come up with something, Y&R, and show us something different from Victor at this stage. I mean, the going back to becoming a block for relationships, it shows no growth. And at 83, I think we should be seeing growth. I want to see, there's plenty of creative options of things that they could show us for Victor that we haven't seen before. And I think that would be very inspiring for Eric Braeden too. Now, I don't know if these scenes were filmed before or after the fires. It's my understanding that both Eric Braeden and Amelia Heinle lost their homes in those fires. I initially thought, well, there's no way this would have had to have been filmed before that. But, you know, on the other hand, I don't know. It almost would explain it a little better if what we were looking at was Y&R allowing this moment of sadness to, you know, art imitating life. Like, let's draw these two characters together. They've just lost something, and we'll give them some scenes to kind of dig into around that. So it certainly could have been after the fires. I just can't imagine living my whole life, and then in the final years watching my home burn to the ground, the home that I raised my family in he lived there for 40 years, and I don't know how long Amelia lived in her home. I mean, there's never a good time to have your home burned down. So maybe that was Y&R's way of folding in, you know, some emotional reality there. But I'm kind of hoping that we can pick up the tone from here on out. Victor was alluding to his eventual death, like sitting there in the chair, all solemn. And then Victoria said, well, I mean, okay, fine, but none of this is going to happen today, right? And I was like, yeah, right, there's still time. And I don't want to spend my soap time feeling sad. I'd rather feel hopeful and happy. I was really impressed that Connor was like a breath of fresh air blowing into that scene, asking, like, he was sitting on the edge of the table, wide-eyed looking at Victor, asking him if it hurt to get shot. I thought that was a really fun moment. Connor was on the edge of his seat, looking at his grandpa like he was a hero who just took a bullet for the family. And Connor asked, did it hurt? Did it hurt, Grandpa, getting shot? And Victor just laughed, and he said, well, it hurts right now when I'm laughing. But, you know, after the first couple times you get shot, I'm sure you get used to it. Do what you love, do what you know, and then everything will come together. I think that's some excellent advice. Do you know who said it? If you do, you should go to yrchat.com and see if you're right. Let's dig into some comments here, starting with Russell, who says, Adam and Nick were discussing what things would be like after Victor dies, and now Victor wants to talk about it with Victoria after his close call from being shot. We've noticed that Eric Braeden has been seated in many scenes. Is he planning on retiring? If so, are they going to kill Victor? I can't imagine watching Y&R without Victor. You know, it's a double-edged sword, Russell, because I think we all know there will come a day when we're watching Y&R without him. I imagine we could not, at a point, imagine watching Y&R without Catherine, and yet we know it's coming. We know it has to happen. The one thing is, I have heard Eric Braeden say, I am never going to retire. But then again, I mean, he also said this week in dialogue, things do change. Plans don't, things don't work out the way you think they're going to. So it's certainly possible that he could change his mind on that, and it would be it'll be a very sad day when he is no longer part of the cast. Sharon W. says, I loved on Monday when Victor told Nikki that he was in a lot of pain and then apologized for being in a bad mood. Yeah, he was really grumpy, and then everybody left and he just goes, you know what, I'm sorry, I'm in pain. I'm sorry, I'm cranky, I'm in pain. And that was really such a poignant moment, because first of all, Victor doesn't usually admit that he's in pain, and there were many points where everyone was fussing over him and he said, no, I'm fine. So for him to actually admit that it hurt meant that he was pretty far down, and for him to actually apologize for being in a bad mood. When have we ever heard Victor apologize for being in a bad mood? I don't know. Well, let's switch to a happier note. First of all, I would love to say happy birthday to Michelle, whose birthday is February 10th. I hope you have a absolutely beautiful birthday, Michelle, filled with, I don't know, why not refresh some things. Why not refresh your living room? That seems like a good goal to have. Or refresh your closet. Connie has some fashion notes this week saying, my fashionista eye was very busy. Phyllis had the most eye-catching striped sweater dress, and Michelle Stafford covered up a wardrobe malfunction when she removed her coat and quickly adjusted the shoulders. Sally's pinstripe number really made her hair color pop. Amy's top kept my attention for multiple scenes because I wasn't sure if it was necklaces or a unique collar. Claire's collar gave me my bling fix. Audra's dress was a pretty color, and the pleats and the ruching flattered her curves. Yeah. Nikki looked beautiful, as always, and her hairstyle was very young and fresh. Jack even caught my eye with that great paisley tie and matching pocket square. I am loving the winter dresses, and a big shout out to the wardrobe department. Yeah, I noticed Jack too this week. That's funny because usually the guys don't stick out, but you're right. All of these things I noticed. Phyllis, man, that dress was gorgeous. Vertical stripes from collar to ankle, and she pulled it off looking tight, looking so good. Michelle Stafford, it's like, part of me is like, I am so admiring of her, and then part of me just gets mad because I'm like, I will never look that good. Man, she looks good head to toe. Let's talk about the Phyllis family on that note. Naomi says Summer and Daniel have a closeness that is well written. Add their mother, and this family dynamic is always worth watching. Daniel eyes his mother with a mixture of love, caution, skepticism, bemusement. It's never just a love fest. This is more interesting than how the Newman family is written. Phyllis, Summer, and Daniel hash out the current issues. It's amazing what has been forgiven. They do love one another as the people they are, faults included. The Newman family keeps score. Yeah, I think you're right. That is a very natural, very honest dynamic going on there, and an interesting juxtaposition for you to compare the two. Gary says Daniel's face always perfectly captures the horror and amusement of his mother in exactly the way you describe. Caution, skepticism, bemusement. This is the observation of the week. Phyllis is a train wreck, but her quirky, smart son can see beyond to the possibilities. Were he less open-minded, he would have clung to the disdain he had for her from the antics of the last year, or the year before. Or the year before, or the decade before, or the decade before that. Yeah, you know who, this description of Daniel reminds me of someone else, reminds me of Michael Baldwin. The description of Phyllis and her family reminds me of the Baldwin family and that dynamic, where they sort of accept each other. They know that they're all kooky, but they sort of watch, they're witness to the kookiness, each of them in their own way, with caution, skepticism, and most importantly, bemusement. I definitely feel like there's a little bit of a similarity between Daniel and Michael in that way. Naomi also says, "I'm Firewall Phyllis," as she bats her eyes. Billy, neither boundaries nor firewalls can help you now. Firewall Phyllis. That was a nice moment. I liked that at all. I hope that keeps coming back up. Tanya says, I like this new direction with Billy, him wanting to make a new company. I think it's a great idea. Sharon W. says, having Billy, Phyllis, and Daniel working together is going to be fantastic. All three of them are strong, independent personalities and will bring their unique ideas to the table, even if they have to butt heads on a daily basis. Billy seems to have finally found his way and intends to show everyone all the wisdom and talent that he has. Here's hoping that with the help of Phyllis and Daniel, that he can lead his company into becoming a new Genoa City powerhouse. I love that positivity, Sharon W. It's interesting, though, that Phyllis is so already calling the shots. Where did she get off suggesting that her name be added to the company? That was awfully bold. I mean, this is Billy's company. He's the one who shook Jack down for the cash to make it happen. And yet Phyllis thinks that her name belongs on the door. And when Billy revealed that he was going to Paris so soon after starting it all up, she was scolding him right away. It's like, who is really wearing the pants here? Naomi says, bad boy Billy is back. He can put away his deep-thinking psychiatrist facade and fall back into his old risk-taker self. Why buckle down and get the new business going when there's partying to be done? I know, that's the thing. That's the thing. He's real good at pumping people up, but when it comes time to getting down to business, is he going to be able to do it? I feel like Billy surrounds himself with enablers time after time, and when whoever the current enabler is drops off, he just gets a new one. But maybe this will be different. Maybe this time will be different. Oh, you know, this is interesting. A lot of comments about Sharon this week. Robin says, I just don't know what Y&R should do with Sharon's character. She's really grating on me. And Diana says, Sharon always acts so condescending whenever she talks to Phyllis about Heather's murder and her involvement or lack thereof. Sharon really comes off as insincere. If I were Phyllis, I would want to slap her in her face. It feels like Sharon does this on purpose to push Phyllis's buttons. And Sharon W. says, I've always liked Sharon's character and Sharon Case, but I'm growing so tired of her smug commentary when she repeats to everyone that she was drugged, and she's very sorry that she accused Daniel of Heather's demise. As I mentioned before, I believe she went into psychology to help people. So when she speaks to Daniel or Phyllis, why doesn't she spend her time asking for any way she can help their family, like community service, LOL. Yeah, I mean, I'm just bored. I was bored with Sharon in the sewer. I was out of the story by then. I did not enjoy the sewer stuff. And then it all just kind of fizzled. And now she's got this very flat delivery of I'm sorry. I don't know, maybe she's still coming down from the drugs. Whatever it is, it is odd. It is off-putting. And I think Sherrod has a kind of interesting possible explanation here, saying they had taped the scenes of Phyllis and Sharon being trapped in the sewer together and fighting to get out, but then they decided to go in a different direction, which is why it seemed weird the way Sharon was just walking around the park and Mariah saw her. Oh, I had no idea. You know, that, Sherrod, thank you, because that really enlightens some things around me, because I was checked out during the Phyllis and Sharon scenes this week. It just felt unnecessary because it seemed like Phyllis was going to be involved in all of that. Ian Ward was kind of trying to set it up. Ian and Jordan were both trying to set it up to look like Phyllis was the one who had kidnapped Sharon, and that just never ended up panning out. Phyllis just sort of disappeared. Sharon was down in the sewer all alone. And so then when it came time for them to talk this week, I was just like, that's old news. I mean, Phyllis clearly never was in this story. So to know that there was supposed to be a point where Phyllis and Sharon were trapped in the sewer together, gosh, that would have been so much more interesting, having them fight and have to work together to get out. Why would they not go in that direction? That would have been entertaining. Instead, I feel like we were left with a whole lot of, just boring, and now it just feels like the come down. It feels like the whole Sharon story was on PCP, and now we're going through withdrawal, and it ain't pretty. Well, new topic. Russell says, neither Claire nor Nikki seems affected by plotting to kill and watch Jordan die. It's settled. They're sociopaths. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's another, just sort of like, okay, well, I guess nobody's really thinking about that anymore. T. Nicole says, I'm predicting a rocky relationship for Jack and Diane going forward. The comment that Diane made about Jack still being friends with Nikki and the tension that came from that still shows that there's an underlying issue with Jack being friends with Nikki. Yeah, I know, it was subtle. I mean, she mentioned it, but she mentioned it at the same time that Victor mentioned it. So, I don't know. Maybe we are going to see Jack and Nikki continue to have their relationship, and maybe it's going to cause problems on both ends with both Victor and Diane. T. Nicole says, I found it so odd that Jack would refer to the Abbott Mansion as his home and not our home, including Diane. They're married. She's legally entitled to half his share unless there's a prenup. I feel newlywed Jack would have called it our home. I do agree that Tracy and Ashley should also have a say, but why can't it be Diane bringing the refresh ideas to them, as in show them the new furniture or paint colors she's wanting to do, and they can all agree to them? This doesn't need to be a surprise in any way. Yeah, and I think it's probably smart that Diane brought Tracy in on it. And if Tracy's in on it, then we're supposed to, I think, accept it a little better. Because we expect Jack to be sentimental, but we expect Tracy to be a little more of the mediator. She's going to be the one in the middle who's going to resolve the situation. Sherrod says Jack is wrong on the home decorating. He's being selfish. It's not only his home. I'm with Diane on this one. Yeah, it was odd that he said my home, that he thinks of it as my home. I didn't think of it in terms of Diane. I was more thinking of it in terms of the other siblings. Like, it's as much Ashley and Tracy's home as it is Jack's. Steven says, I'm sure the home could benefit from Diane's touch, as long as she doesn't mention the words open concept. That would be grounds for an immediate divorce. Yeah, I love those red chairs. I hope they don't get rid of those red chairs. I feel like it's going to be paint and furniture is what the change is going to be. And probably those dusty old knickknacks too. Well, we wouldn't want Harrison bouncing around in the living room and breaking an antique. Yeah, I didn't like that we were using Harrison as an excuse to change the living room. Oh, we don't want Harrison to accidentally shove over the antique crystal ball. Cause a dent in the floor. But Jack likes the dents in the floor. Jack likes the dents and dings. I think that's where Jack is coming from. I think Jack, he likes the house, dents and all. You know, even the dents are connected to his memories. And I think he's afraid of changing the house because he's afraid that would extinguish those memories. And in a way, I think that's a very understandable point of view, being afraid to change the physical aspects of the house because he's afraid that it would somehow change his internal memories of the things that have happened. He doesn't want to lose the past. He doesn't want to lose the past, and neither do I. Oh, let's talk about something new. Robin says, oh no, foreshadowing when Audra said siblings separated at birth grow up to like the same things. There's going to be a Audra triangle, lucky Audra. I didn't even think of that, Robin. Siblings grow up liking the same things, including it, but not limited to the same woman. Nice observation, Robin. Calmness says, hats off to Y&R for some brilliant casting and acting for the Damian storyline. When we first met Damian in LA, he didn't make much of an impression, and he seemed a bit young. But now we realize that was on purpose. The real Damian seems perfectly cast, very believable, rough around the edges, and really compelling. Can't wait for this to unfold. Do you think that this was absolutely Y&R's plan all along, or is there any chance that they changed direction and decided to go with a different Damian? I don't know, just wondering. Connie says, is it Damian or Damian? Is it Damian with an E-N or Damian with an A-N? Google says the answer is Damian with an A-N. And the credits confirmed that spelling, and my teacher hat is satisfied that I can spell it correctly for future posts. Thank you, Connie. Are you a teacher? That's awesome. Yes. Thank you for copy editing. I was wondering that too. I think I naturally started spelling it with an A-N, but now I will forever remember it. That is some deep digging. Thank you very much, because that's exactly the sort of little thing that would have bothered me too. I would have seen it both ways, and then I would have had to go to Google. So thank you for doing it for me. Gary says, hardcore reality when Amy passed up a Fenmore shopping spree with the realization that she would not be around long enough to utilize anything she might buy. Now's the time to go inward. Godspeed and hoping for a miracle cure or remission for Amy Lewis, the police commissioner's daughter. Yeah, that was notable. Honey, I can't go shopping for shoes I'll never wear. Yeah. Oof. Real. But Naomi says, I'd like to see her have a doctor's appointment so that we can listen in on her condition. That's a good question. What is her condition? What does she have? Does she have cancer? Because I think Nate mentioned oncologist, right? So she has cancer. I don't know. Yeah, I agree that we need a little more info on her illness, which comes and goes. Russell says, Nate checked Amy's pulse with his thumb. Everyone knows your thumb has its own pulse, and you check someone else's pulse with your index and middle fingers. Dang, Russell. That is some first-rate sleuthing right there. I love it. You check the pulse with your index and middle fingers. I didn't know that. But now that I do, I'm beginning to suspect that Amy is not sick and that Nate is not really a doctor at all. Okay, everybody, I think that does it for me for the week. But it is your turn to get started. You should go to yrchat.com to leave some comments. I love seeing you there. I love reading what you have to say. And you're going to see me again next Sunday. So come back 1 week from today and we'll do it all over again. I love you guys. I hope you have a really good week. See you next time. Bye.